Good afternoon, Dubai. Happy to be here, and I couldn't imagine a better place than Dubai where the change is ever present. Today, we're going to talk about the possibility how Oracle is teaming up with their customer base to really help them outpace change. And here specifically today, focusing on the ERP side of the house. If I reflect as to what type of change is happening around us, there's multiple elements that impact each and every one of us. If we go from the upper left, there's a small little startup in Redwood City, for example, having figured out the perfectionism of 3D printing to an art form where each and every one of the 20,000 struts of the shoe can be 3D printed to the person potentially wearing it. So with that, they have put an entire industry at notice, where other corporations now need to catch up. That's hyper-personalization on scale. In our consumer life, we have really conditioned ourselves to interact with systems very differently. Whereas in the past, you navigated to menu screens, now you expect the instant gratification of a response. You have a question, you expect the same behavior in software as well. As you can take from my accent, I'm German, so I'm slightly biased to the upper right-hand side. This is Daimler, who has figured out the art of autonomous driving. What's mesmerizing about that is that only in 2016, on a small stretch of the German Autobahn, they piloted this concept of platoons of self-driving trucks. Lord behold, one year later, the state of Ohio granted the reins to Daimler to operate those platoons of self-driving trucks on their highways. So very fast adoption of technology. All of that is typically driven by what we call the experience economy. Ever heightened customer expectations and the need for us as corporations to know the customer better than they know themselves. That has, however, ramification how we need to think about talent. If we are to propel our organization forward, we need to think of what I call lovingly the digital IQ of our corporation, all the way from the C-level down to the shop floor. There needs to be an affinity, an ability to invoke and drive change. Emerging technology is certainly a theme that's being discussed here a lot at Oracle OpenWorld, but it fundamentally provokes new business models. And how we interact with system is no more apparent than this example on the left-hand side, where MIT has figured out a device, it's called Alter Ego, that you strap to your jawbone, pretty similar to what I'm wearing right now, and it can pick up the slightest vibrations. So you can silently utter a question, it's translated into machine code, the response is brought back to you via vibrations to your jawbone, and you can utter a response. It's called the internet in your brain. So fundamental ways on how paradigms of interaction with software is happening. And then, of course, I don't need to introduce the lady in the lower middle. That's Sophia the robot, the first humanoid that has been bestowed citizenship upon by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So the coexistence between humans and machines is absolutely no fiction. It's actually a reality, and it's coming faster than we think. We did a study as to why that is. The fundamental element is data and the emergence of technology to really capitalize on data. What was stunning is actually that 84% of corporations worldwide are stating that their competitive corporate advantage is going to be based on the adoption of artificial intelligence. When we asked users, it was quite fascinating. Everyone who is an HR manager here, please pay attention. 64% of the employee population said they would trust a robot more than they would trust the manager. Quite a statement. I'm a manager too. I'll take that very seriously. But it really has to do with unbiased relationship and advice. It's no more apparent than in a finance function. Because in the finance function, when we did our studies, 89% of tasks are deemed highly automatable. We want to help. We're going to show you today how we are approaching that. And that is why Steve, in the keynote earlier, really talked about how we designed our applications. We didn't take the easy way out of simply porting or hosting our legacy applications. We rewrote them from scratch to be sitting on the most modern stack in the industry. But with that, you have a common data model, you can leverage the data for outcomes, and you get all of the benefits of the platform, and any starting point will do, because we know we need to cater to your existing systems. We're very happy to report that we have a very broad suite of ERP functionality. It has to do with financials, procurement, project portfolio management, enterprise performance management, risk management, and supply chain management. The complete suite is available today in the cloud as a software as a service offering. And if I was to do a quiz here, please raise your hand when is the last time you had an intelligent conversation with your ERP system. Likely I get this type of reaction. Not a lot of hand raises, which is not surprising. ERP systems have not been traditionally opened up for conversations. If you've been listening to Steve Miranda's keynote just earlier, we have completely enabled our entire suite of applications to be conversational. And that is where I would like to introduce one of my colleagues, Liam, our Vice President of Application Development, to lead you what we're doing on the development side of the house, before we're going to call up a couple of customers to talk about their experiences. Liam, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jürgen.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Afternoon, folks. We'll go from a German accent to an Irish accent, and we'll see how you do. So if you look at today's finance department, we look something like this. Or we like to think we look something like this, right? Where essentially we have a very smooth flow of capture. We bring those transactions in. We do a certain amount of reconciliation or processing on them. It may result in a journal. It may result in consolidation. And ultimately, some decision-making gets pushed down to some C-level executives. But I will say, in reality, most people in the audience will probably relate to something that's a bit more like that. Frankly, it's lots of different silos. It's lots of manual work going on to actually make those silos talk to each other, and people's good friend Excel is involved, left, right, and center. Yeah? So what has actually happened is 90% of resource is spent producing numbers, and only 10% interpreting numbers. Our philosophy in Oracle is to change that and completely reverse it. Frankly, this industry has paid lip service to having people do better value-add work for the last about 20 years, and the industry has struggled to deliver on it. We are now at the cusp of being able to actually finally meet that objective. What we in Oracle envisage is a scenario whereby data is captured at source, it's monitored as it's captured using machine learning, and basically watching for anomalies as it's captured or entered, and flows through and allows people to interpret. We talk about, people talk about fully autonomous accounting. I reject that, I have to say. At the end of the day, there will always be a need for a human interpretation and a human judgment. Right? We will always need to make provisions, etc. That's just the way of life. But frankly, what we're aiming to do is automate that 98% of transactions in the middle of the bell curve and allow people to focus on the 2% exception at either end. That's the goal. If I talk about some of the tools we envisage using to deliver this, the first one is very definitely machine learning. Most people will say they are embracing machine learning today and have already actually embarked on a machine learning project. What we see is the majority of those projects are purely on reporting. Okay? And I will challenge you and I will say that when you limit yourself to just machine learning on reporting, you're only capturing 10 to 15% of the actual value. The real value of machine learning is by bringing it into the transaction flow itself as well, and having the machine and the human interact together. so that the machine learns from what the human is doing and then knows how to automate, follow up similar transactions. And that's our goal. Anybody who has very strong eyes can see a long list of topics there on that slide where it shows where we embed machine learning directly into the flow itself. If I move on and basically talk about where we're at, for us, it's a journey. The most important point for machine learning to give us the benefits it can is to make sure the data is right in the first place. It's all about the quality of the data. So our first step is basically make sure that data foundation is correct. Then, having done that, provide more insights to provide basically better outcomes. If I make that real and bring it into a real process that people can relate to, I'm processing my supplier invoices. So essentially, the first thing I got to do is I got to capture the data. We're basically introducing new technology in that area, where we're using machine learning to watch how people process their invoices. Also, watch how people coded those invoices in prior events. Which cost center, which product, which district did they actually code against? Right? That type of functionality. You'll see that coming to bear later on in the year. Equally, I might have a multi-line invoice and a multi-line PO. In a textbook, my invoice matches to my PO. In a real world, line 3 of an invoice matches to line 18 of a given PO. Right? So I need to be able to match at the line level. So it's bringing that functionality to bear. Right? What you've also seen us introduce to the market in the last number of months is essentially intelligent document recognition. So while you see a picture of a supplier invoice, it's wider than that. What we're actually talking about here is an agnostic image capture interpretation engine that will make a decision and say, the document I've just captured is an expense item. Send it to the expense report system. Or it's a customer remittance advice. Send it so that it can allocate the cash against the open invoices. Or in this case, it's a supplier invoice, create the invoice so it can be paid at the relevant time. So the intelligent recognition engine basically makes those decisions for us. Right? Essentially, the use cases we're focused on first there, based on monitoring what our customer fleet are doing. The first one is around invoices, the second one is around expense reports, and the third one is around customer cash allocation. If I talk briefly in terms of what we're doing around some industries, right? A couple of these are probably worth pulling out a little bit more detail, right? So the second one there, labor distribution, is basically the ability to have much more granular distribution when you basically allocate your labor cost at a project level. Right? No secret that today, right, when it comes to supply chain, right, and when it comes to inventory, we basically gather and we store our inventory by location or by sub-location. Right? We don't actually gather and cost by project. Right? So later this year, this calendar year, you will see us come to market and actually release full supply chain at a project level. So you can order for project, you can store for project, you can consume for project. Right? I presume there's nobody in this region who knows anything about oil and gas. Right? But essentially, oil and gas, one of the key areas around oil and gas is joint venture accounting. So most explorations actually involve a number of parties. Right? So it's not just about the end accounts. It's about, am I okay to spend this money? This invoice, can it be allocated according to the agreements? The customer invoice the same way. Right? So it's essentially creating a joint venture type, accounting type functionality as well. I came here today from Stockholm. Right? And in Stockholm, they have a ticket, a single ticket that you can purchase at the local station. And that gives you access to the underground, to the taxi service, to rent a bike, to the buses. One single ticket. Right? I can actually pay a quarterly fee for my coffee machine at home. The world is pivoting to the service-based model. Okay? So accordingly, what we also have is basically the ability to create service-based billing and bill based on consumption and bill based on fixed agreements. And that is essentially the focus in that area. Right? And around IFRS 16 support, we did a small bit of work around the fixed assets area to cater for IFRS 16. Later this year, you'll see us extend that further to allow you basically control the administration of the various leases as well, as and when appropriate. Right? So with that, I'm going to hand back to, hand back, and we can continue on and basically talk about a number of customers. So.
We really want to make sure that we bring up two esteemed customers on stage right now. We have Akram Moideen from the Thumbay Group coming on stage, and Johnson Joseph, the CIO of Zamil Offshore Services Company. Please do come up on stage. Thank you so much for sharing the time. We're in the industry, obviously, and we're seeing a lot of change. So the theme that we're discussing today is outpacing change. So maybe if I could ask you first quickly to introduce what you're doing, your role in the corporation. Maybe I'll start with you, Johnson.
Our company started in 1977 as Zamil Marine and Catering Services. At that time, we owned 2 marine vessels. Later, we kept on adding vessels. Then we started taking more projects like airport maintenance, power plant maintenance, port operations, etc. So the company grew. In 2007, we splitted the company into 2, one as Zamil Operation and Maintenance and Zamil Offshore. Zamil Offshore, we started with marine services, plus shipbuilding, ship repair, diving services. By 2013-14, we owned the largest marine fleet in the Middle East. We owned around 85 marine vessels, plus a few barges. We do manage port operations. We have 2 ship repair yards, 1 ship building. We have totally 6 companies. We do offshore construction, any kind of constructions in the sea. We do diving service. This is the company. And in the corporate office, I manage the IT.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
My name is Akram Tumbe. I take care of Tumbe Technologies, which is our IT arm of Tumbe Group. Tumbe Group is a company. Our main core business is healthcare and education, and I take care of the construction side as well and the BPO in India.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for joining me here on stage. If I can maybe stay with you for a second.
Yeah.
You obviously have multiple responsibilities, right? But your industry, as any industry, is experiencing disruptive forces.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you're seeing within your corporation right now?
There are many challenges, but this year of Tumbe Group, we call it the year of optimization. So we're trying to optimize all the operations basically, and then provide customer care better in this way, and probably customer experience after that.
I think customer experience is a key word, right? Because I'm going to ask you a healthcare question. I know you have other responsibilities as well, but I mean, how customers experiencing healthcare is very different. The expectations are very different, right?
Yeah.
What are the trends that you're seeing there that you're working towards?
Especially in this region, customers expect a much higher level of sort of experience in terms of they expect a sort of like hospitality service in a hospital. So I would say we are optimizing our system so that we can basically spend more on the customer service experience.
And if I have it correctly memorized, you have 12 line of businesses to take care of, right? And you're heading towards 20,000 employees, which is also a big change for the whole corporation, right?
So our core business, we have 12 lines,
Yeah.
and then we have 13 lines in the non-core.
Okay,
So-
see, one added.
So all of them, sort of Tumbe Technology is handling all the technology aspects of all these companies.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then exponential growth from
Hopefully,
employee.
hopefully in the next coming 5 years, there'll be a huge sort of, we'll be moving sort of outside the GCC, so that'll be a big challenge.
So how did Oracle and the partnership with Oracle so far help you in this particular challenge?
Oracle, we moved into Oracle about 8 years ago. So 8 years ago, we moved into Oracle ERP system, which is EBS.
Yes.
And 3 years ago, we moved into the cloud systems. So basically, we're moving into the cloud systems so that we are agile. We can sort of do everything faster. And plus, we don't have to spend more on hardware systems. So that's the main aspect. Oracle has helped us in our journey. The reason why we moved into Oracle, before we had our own ERP solution, but because the business grew, it outgrew the system. So that's why we moved into Oracle.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if I may ask you a question in terms of forward-looking,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to go 10 years out, but maybe 5 years out.
Yeah.
What do you see as the big type of trends that you will need to tackle?
There's so many things. One is automating everything. So from when a patient comes into the hospital, we don't want sort of the old trends where they go and collect a queue management system, they wait for the doctor, and then we want to cut all these processes. So everything from automating just how a patient comes into the hospital and exits, so that he doesn't have sort of barriers of entry and exit. Other than that, we are thinking of going into, I've been talking to Oracle for the IoT systems.
Fantastic.
So that is the next big step. So integrating every of our equipments into IoT and then basically integrating that into our HIMS, that'll be the next big step. Yeah.
Fantastic. I look forward to jointly tackling that. It'll be fun. Johnson, in terms of your industry, right? There's also, you said you're 40 years in the business. So what has been the evolutionary path that you've been on?
We started using Oracle ERP in 1998.
Okay.
Those days it was called Oracle Apps, and we were using only the financials. Company started growing, and we wanted to automate more and more areas. In 2007, we added more capabilities by adding the supply chain, HCM, payroll, and self-service HR under EBS 12. We were one of the first one to go ahead with EBS at that time. Then by 2013-14, company has again grown 3 times. Then we need to do a lot of restructuring kind of things. And we were looking for technology updates. We did a lot of studies, and in 2019, January, we are live with Oracle Fusion. With most of the company business areas are automated.
Fantastic. I mean, like most of our customers were in some shape or form in their transformation. What was the trigger? What prompted you to basically say, okay, the old thing is not working, we need to do something differently?
First thing is technology. Technology keeps changing, and we need to adapt technologies. We have no other way to keep up to the expectation of the management, to the clients, internal or external clients. Plus, by the time in 2013, we were not managing our business, the real operations through any organized systems. So we needed to cover all our projects, project management, all the areas to bring in under a system. This was another criteria. So we decided to go with some kind of upgradation. It all started with Oracle Insights. In 2014-15, they did a study, and they gave us their recommendation. From then, what we did, we have 6 companies under XAML Offshore. We invited all the GMs and all the service chiefs from the corporate office, and we formed a committee. And we asked them, what is missing? What is your expectations? What, in your opinion, what should be automated, priority-wise, and the convenience, technology-wise? So they started giving their recommendation. Everyone went back to their companies, collected the information, and they came up with their ideas, what need to be automated.
Yeah.
From then, we started evaluating different systems. We finally came into 3 systems, and we chose Oracle.
We
Oracle
appreciate
Fusion.
the business. Yeah, thank you. No, I mean, thank you for making the bridge, actually, because, I mean, that's what we're seeing oftentimes. It's for sure a technology partnership, but what's even more important for us is that it's a business partnership, where we also actually can help in the transition and advise
Also,
and learn.
if I may add,
Yes, you may.
conventionally, the IT departments, the technocrats come up with ideas. And somehow they go to the top management and convince them to go for new technology, new things. Then it is pushed from the IT department, the information service departments, to the other operational areas, where ideas started getting rejected. In our case, we started the other way around. We called all the GMs, asked them what they need to be automated. So the resistance was merely nil.
Mm-hmm. So change management is a big part of the transformational success, right?
Exactly.
It's what we're hearing all the time, yeah? Technology is one thing, changing the cooperation and the right approaches is the
To
number
add
one.
on to that one, I am CIO, but I was not the project manager for this implementation. We added someone from the top management team. Our chief operating officer was managing the project, the transformation project. I was handling the technology part, coordination and everything. So as and when there is some kind of issues comes up from the different companies, immediately that is resolved by the chief operating officer from the management perspective.
Okay, so top level sponsorship of
It's very
utmost criticality. I can agree with that. We did our own transformation. Actually, if you have not seen it, we have a dedicated campus. How we as Oracle also transformed our entire corporation on Oracle Cloud. I would invite you to take advantage of that as well. Maybe in closure, if I could ask you, in your journey of your transformation so far, what were the key benefits you've been seeing, and how could other members in the audience benefit from your insights that you had along the journey?
One is saving time. You know, many of the processes are like, you know, before it was like paper-based. You know, all those things which used to take time, approvals, everything is so much faster right now. You know, that is the key aspect of basically moving into sort of like an ERP system. Other than that, I would say is the numbers. You know, you get to see the numbers, you get to see the change, you get to see your output. What is the actual thing that needs to change in order to make this happen? That is, you know, we want to go into AI, but it's still not there yet. You know, we actually made a AI conference. You know, it was really, it was actually the first AI conference in UAE.
Yeah.
We wanted to build something on that, so we got a lot of speakers and sort of got consultants to understand where we can improve our business. We're still not there yet, so we're working on that. We'll come to Oracle definitely for that as well.
Fantastic, no, we're glad to help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing for us how we can embed emerging technologies for business outcomes,
Yeah.
so that you don't have to do it, right?
Exactly.
It's our data scientists hopefully working for you
Exactly.
as an extension of your department, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because we have other softwares to focus on.
Yeah.
So that's why if the backend is Oracle, we leave it at that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Akram. Maybe same question to you.
Yes.
Johnson.
When we decided to go with Oracle Fusion, first of all, why we went ahead with Oracle Fusion? Because primarily the technology, Oracle support, availability of trained resources in the market. Plus, when we look at the Fusion, it is very easy to use. Standard functionalities are pre-built in, the workflows, the security. And plus for us, we were migrating from EBS to cloud. So the user adaptation was much easier. At the end, the screens looks like your Facebook page. So people liked it. All the staff liked to use it. They even keep coming to us and asking, when are you going to train us? Why you didn't train me in like this? Then moving forward, we added a lot of capabilities to the new implementation. We added like Oracle projects, maintenance cloud, the talent acquisition, performance management, goal management, sourcing, order management, a lot of modules we added, customer experience. All these modules we added, which really added value to our operation. Now I could say 99% of our operations are automated. Another benefit from this one is like before, our finance department during month end, they used to get figures from different operating departments manually through Excel or something like that. And I would say our finance staff was fully engaged on data entry. Now the main change is that from data entry, their role changed to financial analytics.
Fantastic.
Now they spend more time on analysis, different various kind of reports, and the OTBI is helping them to make their own reports.
Fantastic. So we're really liberating them.
There is less intervention from IT staff.
Yeah.
The users, after the first training, they know how to make a report. They know how to take reports, extract to Excel, and they create their own format and link it with the OTBI, and they only need to refresh. Okay, good. And they can change the way it looks like and all those stuff. Then the biggest advantage was the dashboards. All managers, they have their landing page, the dashboards, the information I would like to see, it's there in my level, it's there. For a junior staff, his kind of the dashboard is there. For the chief executive officer, the high level dashboard is there, wherein he can drill down to the endpoint.
Fantastic. So what we're seeing is a lot of change management with, thank God, positive outcome. I'd love to thank you both for sharing A, the stage, B, sharing your experiences. So thank you so much. We are unfortunately out of time. So thank you so much, Akram, for joining us. Appreciate it. John,
thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. So please round up applause for our customers here and sharing their experience. Final slide I'd like to share is really just bringing it back to the theme that you heard earlier in the keynote of Steve Miranda. We really want to make sure that whatever change is coming upon our customer base, that hopefully we're already a step ahead. We want to make sure that you have the business platform to really succeed in whatever business challenge is going to come your way. You've heard that conversations are taking place, that they're extending the footprint. We think Oracle can help in that stage, and as you heard from Steve earlier, the time is now. We made it easier than ever to move from an existing footprint into a cloud footprint, and we hope that we actually can partner with you on that journey. So thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.